You are standing on the edge of a world you cannot imagine. There is no hum of cities, no glow of electric light, no humankind as you know it, only an untamed earth, breathing in winds that have swept across oceans for millions of years. The ground is alive with the trembling of unseen beasts, and the air is heavy with a scent you cannot name. This is 4.8 million years ago. The sun rises over a land that is not yet Africa as we think of it, but a patchwork of grasslands, river valleys, and ancient forests. Somewhere in that shifting border between trees and open plains, a small band of our distant ancestors stirs. They are not yet fully human. They are Australopithecus afarensis creatures who walk upright but still carry the long, powerful arms of their tree-climbing past, and as their eyes open to the morning light, one truth burns brighter than the sun: they are hungry. But hunger here is not the soft pang you feel before lunch. Hunger here is an unrelenting drumbeat pounding with the rhythm of survival. It is the force that shapes every choice, every step, every risk they take. And their diet is not built on preference. It is carved from necessity. The ancient landscape they inhabit is both generous and cruel. Tall acacia trees drop seed pods rich with protein, but these treasures often belong to elephants and giant antelope. Rivers are thick with fish, yet guarded by crocodiles the size of small cars. And everywhere, the wind carries the warning scent of predators: lions, saber-toothed cats, and packs of hunting dogs that will one day evolve into the ancestors of the wolf. Here, food is a prize that never comes without danger. Each dawn begins the same way, scanning the land for opportunity. Fruit ripening on the edges of the forest, bird eggs hidden high in the branches, insects crawling beneath fallen logs. Occasionally, the remains of a predator's kill, abandoned bones still slick with marrow, a resource so rich and fat it can mean the difference between life and death. Archaeologists have pieced together these early meals not from faded memories, there were none, but from the language of bones and stones. Fossilized teeth tell us they ground down fibrous roots, seeds, and grasses. Chemical traces in ancient enamel reveal the variety of their diet: fruits, nuts, insects, and scavenged meat. Primitive stone tools, little more than sharp flakes, suggest the first deliberate cutting of flesh from bone. But their menu was not only about filling the belly, it was about survival in a body still finding its place between ape and human. High-energy foods like marrow and fat fed the growing brain, while plant fiber kept the gut strong enough to process the hard, gritty vegetation of the savanna. To live here meant learning from the land with the precision of instinct. They knew which roots carried life-giving starch and which harbored poison. They read the color of the sky and the scent of the wind to predict where herds would move, where rivers would shrink to reveal trapped fish, and when dangerous predators would hunt. Hunger taught them patience, it taught them courage, and it taught them something that would become the foundation of humanity itself: cooperation. For a lone early human, scavenging a carcass from a pride of lions was suicide, but with a group, with eyes watching every direction, and hands working quickly, the impossible became possible. And slowly, the act of sharing food became a bond as strong as blood. You imagine yourself in their skin now. The sun is high. You are crouched at the edge of a dried riverbed, fingers digging into the cracked earth for hidden tubers. Beside you, another of your kind watches the trees for danger. You do not speak as modern humans do, but you communicate in glances, gestures, and a low hum in the throat. You both know the rules: find food, keep moving, stay alive. Yet, in this raw struggle, a quiet miracle is happening. Your kind is learning not just to survive but to adapt, to take whatever the land offers and turn it into strength. Because here, in the heart of deep time, survival is not about dominance. It is about endurance. And so, day after day, meal after meal, the ancient hunger shapes them. Not just their bodies, not just their brains, but the very destiny of the species that will one day stand at the edge of the savanna and dream of more than food. But in this world, dreaming is dangerous, and tomorrow's hunger will always come. The seasons are not marked by calendars here, only by the shifting moods of the earth. The rains come like a blessing, swelling rivers into silver ribbons across the plains. The land erupts in green, and food is everywhere: berries bursting with juice, young shoots tender enough to chew, insects fat from feeding on the sudden bloom. Even the air feels different, thick with the scent of flowers and wet soil. For a short while, the hunger loosens its grip, but the rains never stay. When the sky dries and the grass turns brittle, the world begins to shrink. Rivers recede into narrow, muddy veins. The fruit trees stand bare. The herds of antelope and zebra migrate in search of greener pastures, and the predators follow them, leaving the land eerily silent. The only sound is the crunch of dry earth under bare feet and the distant cry of scavenging birds. For early humans, this was the season of scarcity, the trial that separated those who endured from those who vanished. Scarcity brought danger in unexpected forms. Not only did predators grow bolder when prey was scarce, but other hominin groups also became competitors. Territory meant survival, and while violence was costly, the unspoken rule of nature was simple: those who could not secure food would not see another. Rainy season. This is when ingenuity became their sharpest weapon. Where others saw dry grass, they saw hidden tuberous plants storing starch deep underground, beyond the reach of drought. Where rivers had shrunk into stagnant pools, they saw fish trapped in the mud, catchable by quick hands. They began to watch vultures in the sky, following them to carcasses before other scavengers arrived. Hunger made them opportunists. There were moments, too, when survival demanded boldness beyond instinct. Imagine a small group approaching the shadow of a sleeping predator, perhaps a lion bloated from its kill. The air is heavy with the metallic scent of blood. The carcass lies only a few strides away. They do not have the speed of a cheetah or the claws of a leopard, but they have something else: coordination. One moves forward with a stone in hand, not to fight, but to distract. Another creeps in from the side, fingers reaching for the choicest pieces, the fat-rich organs, the marrow-filled bones. Their movements are swift, silent, and then, just as the lion stirs, they vanish into the grass. The prize cradled between them. The risk is mortal, the reward is life. This dance between danger and nourishment shaped not only their bodies but their minds. Survival here was a puzzle, and each season offered new pieces. Rainy months demanded speed and abundance, gathering as much as possible while food was easy to find. Dry months demanded patience, memory, and the ability to read the land like a living map. Archaeological evidence hints that this cycle of feast and famine may have been a key driver in human evolution. The brain is a greedy organ; it consumes far more energy than its size would suggest. To fuel it through the lean months, our ancestors needed flexible diets, creative problem-solving, and the ability to cooperate in ways no other species did. Hunger wasn't just a test, it was a sculptor, chiseling the human mind into something new. But there is another layer to this story, one that whispers between the lines of bones and tools: the emotional life of early humans. When a child cried from hunger, what did the mother feel? When an elder grew too weak to keep up, did the group abandon them, or did they share the last scraps, knowing it might cost them their own survival? We will never know for certain. Yet the very fact that humans evolved into creatures who feed and protect their young for years hints at an ancient seed of empathy. Perhaps in the leanest months, it was not only the strongest who survived, but the most connected, the ones who could rely on others to share when they had nothing. Now you see it: survival here is not a solitary act. The group moves together like a single organism, each member watching, listening, and working for the good of the whole. Every shared meal is more than nourishment, it is an unspoken promise: I will feed you today, and you will feed me tomorrow. The rains will come again, as they always do. The green will return, the herds will follow, and for a while, life will seem generous. But everyone here knows the truth written into the rhythm of the earth: the feast is temporary, and the famine is never far away. And so, from the very beginning, humanity learns to live in the space between plenty and scarcity, between safety and danger. That balance will define our species for millions of years to come. The story of survival begins to change the moment a shard of stone meets flesh. At first, it is not hunting, it is scavenging. A predator makes the kill, leaves the remains, and the early human steps in to claim what's left. But even in this act, something revolutionary is happening. The sharp flake of rock in their hand is more than an object. It is an idea made tangible. A simple strike against a larger stone produces an edge capable of slicing meat from bone, opening a carcass faster than teeth or nails ever could. The marrow locked within the femur of a fallen antelope once unreachable is now accessible. And that marrow is gold, rich in fat and calories. It fuels bodies and, more importantly, brains. Somewhere in this rhythm of finding, breaking, and eating, the first whispers of human technology are born. At first, these tools are crude, sharp flakes for cutting, larger stones for smashing. There is no artistry yet, no refinement, but each one is a promise, with every use. The hand learns, the eye sharpens, the mind begins to anticipate. It is in this anticipation that something profound occurs. These early humans are no longer reacting to the world, they are preparing for it. Carrying a stone from one place to another may seem trivial, but in deep time, it is monumental. It means they are thinking ahead, imagining needs before they arise. The gap between finding food and making food smaller is narrowing. Scavenging is still the mainstay, but it slowly blends with bold experimentation. A sudden movement in the tall grass, the twitch of a rodent, the flutter of a bird becomes an opportunity. A quick throw of a stone, perhaps not to kill but to injure, might deliver a meal otherwise lost. It's a precarious line between hunter and scavenger, and for millions of years, that line will blur. Predators are still the masters here. A lion's roar is a command to keep your distance. A hyena's laughter is a warning that the competition for food is fierce. Yet there is one place where early humans hold the advantage: endurance, and like most predators, built for bursts of speed, humans stripped of fur, standing upright, are capable of something astonishing, running for hours without stopping. Even at this stage, before the full adaptation of long-distance hunting, that endurance is a seed waiting to bloom, and later millennia, it will give rise to persistence hunting, the ability to chase prey until exhaustion claims it. But for now, every success is measured in moments. One distraction, one quick grab of meat, one escape. Survival is not about winning every contest, it is about living to try again. The environment itself pushes innovation. When the dry season turns rivers into cracked mud, fish become trapped in shrinking pools. The quick jab with a sharpened stick yields protein-rich meals. Insect scrubs, termites, and locusts become reliable when larger prey is scarce. Nuts demand strength and patience to crack, but their fat content makes the effort worth it. Archaeological evidence shows where patterns on teeth that hint at grinding tough seeds and roots. It suggests the use of makeshift pounding tools, possibly stones, to break down food. These were not weapons of war, but weapons against hunger. Yet survival is not only about technique, it is about memory. Imagine the mental map they carry: the locations of fruiting trees, the burrows of fat-rich mole rats, the hidden springs that persist in the driest months. This knowledge is shared across the group, passed from elder to young not through words, but through the journey itself. Walking the land is their way of reading it. And every trail is a story in the making. This is perhaps the most human thing of all, the ability to pass on not just food, but the means to find food. One evening, the group gathers around the remains of a scavenged zebra. The meat is divided quickly, each member tearing strips with teeth worn down by years of grit and dust. A child gnaws at a bone too big for their small hands. An elder uses a stone to split it, offering the marrow within. There is no spoken thank you, but the act is understood. In this small exchange, the seeds of future culture of reciprocity, trust, and unspoken rules are planted, and they will grow, shaping human societies for millennia. The night comes without warning, as it always does near the equator. The group retreats to the safety of the trees, stomachs fuller than they were in the morning. Above them, the stars blaze with ancient light, indifferent to the struggles below. But here on the ground, the rhythm of hunger and satisfaction has played out once again. They do not know it, but in their hands, their cracked, dirt-streaked hands, lie the beginnings of everything that will follow. Every tool, every innovation, every civilization will trace its roots back to these moments of desperate creativity, because the first true human invention was not fire, or art, or language. It was the decision to shape the world to feed the body, and from that decision, there is no turning back. The landscape is not just a place to live, it is an arena, and every creature upon it is a contestant. For early humans, the game is not won with fangs or claws, but with each other. Survival here is not the story of a lone hero, but of the many who move as one. Hunger is the invisible thread binding them together. When one stumbles across a patch of ripe fruit, they call to the others not with words, but with a sound, a gesture, a rush of movement that ripples through the group. When a scavenged carcass is found, there is no private feast. The risk of eating alone is too great. And the work of stripping meat is faster when many hands are involved. This mutual dependence is not born from kindness alone, it is a strategy. The savanna is a place where an isolated individual is already halfway to dead. In this constant exchange of effort and reward, patterns emerge. The young, with their sharp eyes and quick reflexes, spot danger and opportunity first. The strong adults carry heavy hulls, smashing bones or hauling roots from the earth. The elders, though slower, carry something just as valuable, knowledge. They remember where a water hole still held water 2 seasons ago, where tubers grow in the shadow of certain hills, where fruit trees bloom early, and perhaps most importantly, they remember the rules of survival. Cooperation evolves into something more than mere necessity. Imagine the group approaching a dangerous opportunity, a fresh kill left by a leopard that has wandered off. They form a loose ring, each watching a different direction. One approaches the carcass, stone tool ready. Another stands guard with a heavy branch in case the predator returns. They work quickly, their movements practiced, each one trusting the others to do their part. When the meat is gone, they retreat together, eating as they walk. The food is not equally divided. Hierarchies exist, shaped by age, strength, and skill, but no one is entirely left out. Even the smallest scraps, the last shreds of sinew, find their way into the mouths of the weakest. This instinct to share, however imperfectly, is not just generosity, it is insurance. The one who receives today may be the one who provides tomorrow. The camp, if it can be called that, is not fixed. They sleep in different places, under trees, in rocky alcoves, sometimes on higher ground to watch the plains below. Fire has not yet been tamed, so warmth comes from huddling close, from the press of bodies against the chill night air. The darkness is full of sounds, the cough of a leopard, the laugh of a hyena, the distant trumpeting of elephants. Fear is constant, but it binds them closer. In the blackness, each wrestle is shared. One tenses, the others tense. One relaxes, the others relax. Hunger brought them together. Fear keeps them together, but cooperation is not without conflict. Scarcity can sharpen tempers. Like flint, a dispute over the last piece of marrow can flare into violent shoves, bites, screams that echo into the night. In these moments, the delicate balance of the group is tested. Sometimes bonds are repaired, sometimes a member drifts away to join another band, or vanish into the savanna alone. This instability is the other edge of human cooperation. Trust is always fragile, and survival demands both unity and vigilance, yet the advantages of the group outweigh the risks. With more eyes, they can spot vultures circling far away and head toward the promise of meat. With more hands, they can overturn heavy logs to reach termites, or strip an entire tree of fruit before other animals arrive. With more memories, they can predict seasonal patterns with a precision no single mind could hold. Over time, these survival strategies become habits so deeply ingrained that they are no longer thought about, they are simply how things are done. A young one does not need to be told to share what they find. They learn it by living it. A wanderer returning to the group with nothing is still welcome if they bring news of food elsewhere. This is the slow weaving of something extraordinary, the beginnings of a social fabric. One night, as the moon rises pale over the plains, they sit in silence. Bellies not quite full but no longer aching. Somewhere in the dark, predators hunt. Somewhere beyond the horizon, other bands of their kind do the same. They cannot know it, but these bonds, these fragile threads of cooperation, are the foundation upon which all of human history will rest. Every village, every city, every civilization will grow from the ancient logic of survival. Alone you are prey, together you endure. And so, they sleep, trusting the nearness of others to guard them. Tomorrow will bring the same hunger, the same search, but they will face it as they have learned to do, not as one, but as many. Dawn arrives without ceremony, just the slow fading of stars and the cool breath of morning drifting across the plains. The group wakes in fragments, each stirring at their own pace, stretching sore limbs, scanning the horizon before the first steps of the day. Hunger is already with them, a familiar companion, quiet now but always ready to grow louder. The land before them is vast and indifferent. Somewhere in the tall grass, there is food hidden in roots, hanging from branches, walking on for legs. But there are also teeth waiting in the shadows, talons in the sky, venom in the soil. Every choice they make today will balance between nourishment and danger. And still, they rise. They move together, as they always have, the slow rhythm of bare feet pressing into the earth. The elders set the course not by order, but by the quiet confidence of those who remember. The young range at the edges, eyes bright with the excitement of the search. The smallest ride on hips or shoulders, carried not because they cannot walk, but because the journey must be swift. They pass the remains of yesterday's feast, a scatter of bones already picked clean by beetles and sun. No pause, no sentiment. Food gone is food forgotten. Today will write its own story. By midday, the sun is a white fire overhead, and the world ripples with heat. Their search takes them toward the edge of a dry riverbed. Here, the signs are subtle: a depression in the cracked mud, the faint shimmer of movement beneath. A few patient minutes, and hands plunge into the earth, pulling free a writhing catch of catfish trapped in the shrinking pool. There is no celebration, just quick work. Stones crush skulls, flesh is stripped and swallowed raw. The protein will carry them through the afternoon, but it will not last. Further on, they find a patch of wild tubers, tough-skinned and buried deep. Digging is slow, exhausting work, but the reward is worth it. Starch fills the belly in a way meat cannot, a steady burn instead of a sudden flame. These are small victories, but in their world, survival is a string of such moments, each one bought with effort, skill, and unspoken trust that no one walks alone. By evening, they are coals and the light softens. They climb to a ridge that overlooks the plain, settling for the night. The horizon burns with the colors of sunset gold fading to blood red, then to the deep purple of approaching night. Somewhere in the distance, elephants move like shadows, and the cry of a hyena cuts through the stillness. They eat the last of the day's finds, passing scraps from hand to hand. The smallest are fed first, the oldest last. Hunger is never truly gone, but tonight it will not keep them awake. As darkness falls, the group gathers close. The children drift to sleep against the warmth of others, while the adults watch the night. They listen to the pulse of the world, the rustle of grass in the wind, the low rumble of unseen beasts. Above them, the Milky Way stretches across the sky, an ancient river of light flowing endlessly overhead. They do not wonder about stars, or time, or the future. Their lives are not measured in years or dreams, but in the daily rhythm of finding enough to greet another sunrise. And yet, in ways they cannot understand, each day they survive changes the shape of what it means to be human. The tools they carry, the paths they remember, the bonds they keep, these will echo across ages, carried forward in the marrow of their descendants. If you could stand among them now, feel the same hunger, the same fear, the same fleeting relief, you might understand something we have long forgotten, that our species was not born from comfort, but from challenge, that we did not rise because the world gave freely, but because it demanded we fight for every bite. That cooperation was not an ideal, but a necessity carved into us by the sharp edge of survival. The story of humanity did not begin with kings or cities or fire. It began here under an open sky, with bare feet on ancient soil, and the unbreakable instinct to endure. And as you watch them vanish into the dark, their shapes swallowed by the night, you are left with one question that lingers across for 0.8 million years: when the next great hunger comes for them, for us, will we still remember how to survive?